What's even crazier now, though, is so like I can actually, with this, pause the recording again. Like I actually have the ability to pause the recording between segments again.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the only problem is now, like as easy as that would make my life, I would lose the cold open.
Yeah. That sucks.
It's a real catch-22. Like I'm finally in a position where I can just like record the audio exactly to what I want it to be, and I can't. So I've been recording this whole thing because I still need to find a cold open.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to a Horrible Gaming Podcast. My name is Zachariah Van Sliders. With me is
Neil, a.k.a. Tiny Wizard.
Logan, unfortunately, could not join us today. He had a personal matter. Logan, I hope everything's going okay. Just let me know. And as far as everything else goes, we're really excited because this is going to be the first show we're recording with a new platform. We've, thanks to my wife, we are going to be using Zoom to record our podcast from now on. They'll still go out on Anchor and still get disseminated through Anchor's program of dissemination, but the actual audio itself will be recorded on Zoom, and I think it's going to be really exciting because I don't think we're going to be contending with that audio glitch anymore. So, everybody,
Hallelujah.
Yeah. And of course, let's go into the normal credits. Mark Bell, thank you to him for all the original graphics we use on this channel. And then, of course, the theme song that you just heard was written and performed by my brother, Nicholas Van Sliders. Thank you to him for that. All right. So that brings us to the top of the show, and that's the Fan Interaction Show. We do a lot of things here. We read out your comments that we get from YouTube or Discord or Facebook or wherever you feel like commenting. And in addition to that, we also decide the Horrible Arena winner from last week. And we usually pose a question to you guys that we also answer. So let's start with the Horrible Arena, Neil. My crown returns to my head, sir. I have taken the victory. I shall read off the votes to you. I will say Phil voted to me in person. He loves to do that. I think he just likes to create controversy. I think that's just his go-to method. But he told me he liked mine. Then we have Kev Too Tall, who said, Zach, you get the arena victory for this week. You pitched a really, really close game to City of Heroes, which was an epic and amazing MMO that sadly shut down. You got to make awesome power combos and then pick abilities and augment the abilities on top of that. It even had a City of Villains counterpart that introduced world PvP and doubled the size of the game world, along with new content for all. Damn, I missed that game. I never played that game, Kev. That game sounds awesome. I had heard a lot about that game, but it was always PC only. I wish it had come to console. I think it would probably still be alive today if it had.
Actually, if I remember correctly, I could be totally remembering this wrong. I think it did come to PS3.
Oh, really? Well, I don't know. Kev would probably know. Kev, did it come to PS3? You can answer in the comments. Okay, so then moving on. You did, however, get one vote, and I rolled right past it, of course. And that was Kayla. She said, my arena vote is going to Iron Man. It reminds me of the Spider-Man games that I already enjoy. Yeah, I mean, if they could nail even just one superhero like they nailed Spider-Man, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So, yes. So I will take my victory with a smile on my face, Neil. I return to the winner's circle on that one. But you always have a chance to take that crown back today, because it's just the two of us again. And we took the safeties off. So we'll see. Okay, so other comments read. Kev, who loves to constantly we did ask the question, what would you want to see remastered that hasn't been remastered yet on these new on the systems that are out today? Kev Tutal said Super Metroid with Trine level or better graphics.
Oh my God. I would buy that in a second.
I have a confession, and I'm going to get hate from Kevin and you. I don't like Metroid. I hate Metroid. It drives me nuts. I tried to play Super Metroid. Every time I try to go back to Super Metroid, I play it for like 10 minutes, and I want to pull my hair out. I can't stand that game. I don't know how it could be compared to one of the greatest games ever made, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I just don't.
So I think with Super Metroid, it's one of those that you have to come to when you're already invested in the series. Just because Super Metroid has a lot of, if I were to like say like the one thing that I think that it might be an issue is a lot of weird control things, because you have like 5 different things that you can use the same button for, and sometimes you have to swap between them. So there's a lot of having to swap around and stuff like that. But honestly, my first Metroid was Metroid 4, which was Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance. And since then, I have played every single Metroid game and beat every single Metroid game. Most recently, Metroid 2 with the remake on 3DS.
That's quite a feat, man. That's quite a feat. I think that gets some respect. Kayla also answered this question as well. She said, I would give anything for a Mass Effect trilogy remaster. Kayla, you, me, and the rest of the frickin' planet. I love this series so much. In fact, 2 of our cats are named after characters. That's hysterical. That's absolutely hysterical.
Yep.
I want to try and guess the names. Can I try and guess the names?
Okay.
All right. Let me see here. I can never remember his name. I think it's Gareth.
Garrus. Yep. Garrus is one of them.
Boom. Boom. All right. Okay. All right. The other one's tough. The other one
is going to be kind of tough.
I'm going to say it's got to be, is it that one? Man, I can never remember their names is the problem. I know the character, but I can't remember the name. The priestess from the second one from the all-lady group?
No, it is not her. I forget her name as well. But our other one, her name is Legion. And we actually, hers is a double because it kind of fits within the theme as it is. But we actually found her as a stray in an alley. And she was way too young to be out on her own. And we just kind of like kept her. And we named her Legion because she was one of the many strays around. So we are many, we are Legion, you know.
That's hysterical. And can I just say those are 2 of my favorite characters. None of them beat Rex, though. Rex for life. Rex for eternity. Rex, my boy. I fight with you, my toad brethren. Although Grunt's pretty cool too. I don't think.
Grunt. I liked Grunt. I liked Grunt over Rex.
I don't think he gets enough love. Okay, so I think that concludes fan interaction. Unless we want to ask a question.
I mean, we kind of have to ask a question.
I mean, it is our jobs, though we very rarely do our jobs correctly. So. Let's see. How
about just like simple, straightforward? What have you guys been playing lately?
Yeah, we can do that one again. What have you guys been playing? What's your game right now? What's the game for you right now? I know I'm back on the Monster Hunter World kick because I added up my hours from the 3 PlayStations that I still have, and I am at like 450 hours in that game, and that's not including the 3 different characters that I've deleted and started over.
Jesus.
Yeah, I got a lot of... What's sad is that Phil is already better at me than it.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so I think that does it for fan interaction. All right, so our first topic up for discussion today is probably going to be our shortest topic because recently Google Stadia has decided to go free for a couple of months. That's right. Google Stadia is free to play right now. You still have to pay for the games, but the service itself is free to play. Does this mean Google Stadia is dead? I think it's been long dead, but what do you think, Neil?
Oh yeah, it's totally dead. I mean, honestly, I I can't even believe that we're dedicating a little bit of time to this again because it's just like it's just been on this downward trajectory for so long. And now you think about what Stadia is. It's a platform all digital based off of streaming. And I think that they might be trying to take advantage of this, the fact that everybody's at home right now. But even if their plan were to work, everyone and their mother were to get on, start playing Google Stadia, and then everybody's collective bandwidths would be shot because they're all using this ludicrous amount of data.
Yep.
So they can't even plan this sort of stuff right, let alone the overall rollout of the service in general. I mean, those poor people who spent hundreds of dollars on the Founders Pack back when that came out, you know, that like these people, they're going to have a paperweight soon. I'm already getting vibes of, do you remember Ouya back like,
oh yeah,
it's
the biggest failure in gaming ever.
I mean, I was hopeful that Ouya was going to be a thing, but it never materialized. I mean, it did materialize, just not with any sort of fanfare around it. But I mean, if you haven't jumped on yet, you're not going to jump on now. I wish they had those numbers out that people could see, but that's just embarrassing for them. I'm sure they wouldn't dare put that out in the wild.
You know, and I had, you know, we were talking about this back and forth on my page. There's another friend of mine on Facebook who I don't know if he listens to the show or not. If he does, I'm going to butcher his last name, but Doug Richard, thank you for your comment. But he pointed out, you know, what a terrible way to do things when you're what a terrible time to advertise a performance-based system. You know, like this system needs all the performance in the world, and there's no, like, they're throttling internet right now. There's serious data problems. Like, I have a hard time editing stuff at night because I can't get stuff into or out of Dropbox because it's off peak hours. So like what a terrible time to give people like free Google Stadia, you know?
Yeah. How long do you think, realistically, how long do you think Stadia has before Google pulls the plug?
Okay, like, here's the thing, and that's tricky because I personally think Google has kind of pulled the plug already. I think that this is them pulling the plug, but I don't think I think it's going to be a soft pull of the plug. No matter how they do this, they're going to slowly back away from it until 5 years down the road, we're going, hey, you remember that Google Stadia thing? Like, that's what I think is going to happen. I think this is going to go out with a whimper, not a bang. And I think this is the whimper.
I think because they keep saying that this is like a beta, their soft launch, whatever, and their full, real, actual launch is going to be sometime this holiday season. But I think that they may have another year afterwards before we start seeing them actually start physically, publicly distancing themselves. I think that there is some credence to what you're saying, is like they're beginning to back away now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be that big of a hit when they finally do. Like, because if they were to pull the plug right now, after people spend all that money on games and the hardware, all that sort of stuff, if they were to back away now less than a year, Jesus, that would be crazy backlash.
I mean, that's the thing, though. I feel like that they should be getting crazy backlash anyway, because I feel like they are stepping back. And you're right. Like, they can't just go into the back room and be like, Stadia's dead, and pull the plug after this. But they don't even put the ads on TV anymore. Like, they're not talking about Stadia anymore. Google has gone completely and totally dark. And I know we're in a situation where a lot of places have gone dark, but at the same time, with the exception of them announcing it's free, which is not something you announce if it's doing well, they haven't said anything about Google Stadia. like they haven't defended themselves. They're not like doing the rounds. They're not trying to prop their system up. I feel like they've already given up, and this is just they're laying in the hole waiting to be buried.
Well, it's funny that you kind of say something like that too, because I feel like there's one group out there that really gets ticked off when stuff doesn't go right in the way that they, like, more so than other fans of any sort of hobby. And honestly, that's gamers. And when this finally goes under, it's going to be one of those everyone screaming from the rooftops, I told you so, I told you so. And I do wonder if that's going to have implications for streaming services of games in the future, like Microsoft and Sony and everything. Like if they're really going to be full on board with streaming, or they're going to take that as like a learning experience and be able to take Google's failings and turn them around and make it something that they can use to bolster their own services.
Well, aside from the Stadia is dead conversation, just to take it in that direction, streaming games is where the market will end up. Like it is eventually, it's the end game for where video games are going. The thing is, though, is it's not going to do that without a console for many years to come, because no matter what the perform, I hate to parrot what Phil Spencer said, but he said it in his interview with Unlock, because he's been really making the rounds from his office. But he basically said, it's really amazing to play it from like a phone or a computer, but at the end of the day, you want that thing that you can get the performance out of. Like it's nice to play it in other places, but you're never going to really, you know what I mean? You're never going to get that experience. You're not going to get that experience of it right now in the way that you want it to be. And I think that's what people want out of the streaming right now. They don't want it to replace the console. They want the console to be the main thing, but they also want a way to play their games when they're stuck at the grandparents' house or out of town or on a bus trip or something like that, And I almost feel like right now streaming is more of an answer to what Nintendo Switch is than it being its own thing.
Yeah, that does make sense too.
Yeah.
Because actually, when you were saying that, it was making me think, like, all of these, like the other console manufacturers, it's all about graphics, speed, performance. And then you have something like the Switch that's built around that portability in the first place.
Right.
And then they let their software shine more so than their hardware. But if you do line those three consoles up next to each other, objectively, the Switch is going to be the weaker console, just like with your phone. Sure, you can game on your phone, but I mean, I actually tried playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on my phone the other day, and touch controls are terrible. I mean, obviously, you would use a controller for game streaming, but I mean, if you get a phone call in the middle of what you're playing, then that could screw stuff up, and the list goes on and on.
And it's a small screen. Like right now, game streaming is a feature, not a platform, and that's the problem that Google's trying to make it. And like I said, don't get me wrong, I don't know how far down the road this is going to be, but eventually it will be the platform. That will be how you play. That's the trend. That's where it's going. But right now, it's not there yet. And I think that's, not to mention the fact, to do something like this, you have to be a company that's willing to stand behind products that don't necessarily make money in the beginning. And Google's not willing to do that.
No, not at all.
I hate to say it, but if Stadia, in a vacuum, if Stadia had been released by, not necessarily Microsoft, but Phil Spencer's Microsoft or Sony, I feel like we would still be talking about Stadia in a few years, and it might start to make that comeback. It might be something like VR where it's just ahead of its time. But Google isn't something that's willing to like go the long distance. They wanted to make a lot of money up front like they always do, and they didn't, and now they're going to walk away.
Well, actually, bringing that up, it's like that just put the idea in my head. It's like that would be a fantastic, like if Microsoft sold like an HDMI, USB, whatever dongle that you just slapped into your TV and you connected your Xbox controller to it. It's like, hey, Games Pass. You have Games Pass?
Yeah.
Or just all those games, you can play it on your TV with just that on its own. That would be fantastic. But you pretty much kind of put the same sort of general idea next to something like Google Stadia. And it's like nobody wants it. And I think a part of that is the brand recognition and their track record. I think Google's history is always coming to bite them in the ass somewhere along the way.
There is something else to it too. While I agree with everything you just said, I want to add to it that Google Stadia does not give you games.
Right.
And that's the big problem. Xbox gives you games. Like you get a Games Pass, you get a subscription service to Xbox, and you get games you can play off that subscription service. Google Stadia makes you play a subscription service for the remainder of your life, and you do not get the games. Not only do you not get the games, you only get the rights to play the games on their servers. That's it. That's all you're buying, and you're paying full price for them. There's no discount. There's no nothing. And I think, and gamers asked Google about that, and Google laughed in their faces. They basically said, oh, they don't care about that. Yeah, we do. That's why we asked you about it. And I think you add that in. I think if Google Stadia had released which again, they haven't really released, but if Google Stadia had released and said, we've got either a subscription service or even like our games are half off, we'd be having a different conversation.
Right.
All right. Well, I think we've covered the streaming in Stadia. Is there anything you want to add to this before we move on?
Google Stadia sucks.
Google Stadia does suck. It's a good capper to it. A good capper. All right. So our next topic, we're just going to spend a little time on this. There's a new Xbox exclusive releasing this month in the Games Pass. It did get a little bit of delay, but it's still coming out. And that is Minecraft Dungeons is coming. And, okay, so this game is something I wrote off because I don't like Minecraft. And I don't like Minecraft aggressively. The reason I don't like Minecraft aggressively is I've played it repeatedly. And there's a point where I realize I hate it, and then I have to walk away. It's a great game. I'm not insulting Minecraft. It's a wonderful game. It's just probably not for me. Even though I do like crafting and whatnot, there's just not enough like interaction. Like with Animal Crossing, you have the other animals to talk to. With Minecraft, it's just you building stuff, and I can't get into that. So, with that being said, Minecraft Dungeons is a completely different experience. From what I can see, it's almost like Minecraft's take on like a Diablo or a Torchlight type game. It's 4-player co-op online, and it's getting a lot of like hype moving up to it. So is this a game that in any way, shape, or form interests you, Neil?
Nope.
No? You don't like any of the Diablo or Torchlight stuff?
I mean, I'll be honest. I have a copy of Diablo 3 for the Xbox 360. I did play it just a little bit, but like not. This was back when I was also playing strictly like just shooters and Street Fighter 4 all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. There was that weird period of time. So I mean, I have had interest in going back to like trying Diablo with my wife, but at the same time, like I don't know, like Diablo as Diablo is good. Minecraft as Diablo, like it's just like Diablo for kids pretty much, which, okay, fine, whatever, but you have to slap Minecraft of all things on it. It's almost like, hey, what did the kids like? Oh, they like that Minecraft thing. Hey, let's just do this, but Minecraft. I mean, they did that with Telltale also. Hey, people like Telltale games. We need a new one. What's that? Minecraft. Yeah, let's do that. And they did that. There's a movie coming out and stuff. It's like, it kind of
not good.
It seems like a shameless cash grab.
Okay. All right. Hot take. I will say this segment when we planned it was I was definitely hoping for Logan to be here because I know Logan's a little bit more into Minecraft than either one of us. So I was hoping for his perspective on this one. and we're just kind of like stumbling through it. But I don't know if I'd use the words shameless cash grab on this. I think I appreciate, I think you're in a situation with Mojang where they got big making Minecraft, and then Xbox or Microsoft bought them because they make Minecraft. And now you're in a position where maybe they want to do something that's not necessarily Minecraft. And Microsoft's like, okay, but it's got to be Minecraft. Like you can do something else, but it's got to still be Minecraft, because while the Telltale game was a Minecraft game, like Mojang didn't have anything to do with it. Like Telltale licensed Minecraft from Mojang, whereas this is actually Mojang is actually making it. So part of me, so I don't know if I'd use shameless cash grab. I think it's more like hey, we really want to make this like dungeon crawler, and Microsoft is like, great. So when's Minecraft coming out? More Minecraft? Yeah, but we wanna do this dungeon crawler. Is the dungeon crawler Minecraft? No. Can the dungeon crawler be Minecraft? Yes. Make the dungeon crawler Minecraft. like that's what I feel like happened there.
I mean, I kind of like, I get that angle, but at the same time, like, there's not like, we all know what happens when you try to mash genres together. We get something like Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh, we want to, the Sonic people want to make a shooter, you know, whatever. It's like, we'll make it Sonic. Oh. Why would we give them guns? Just do it. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like there might be other things that they could do. Like if you were to make like a Minecraft kart racer, that I could see. But like a dungeon crawler, like I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it meshes together too well.
Well, while I don't necessarily say that the meshing of the genres isn't kind of weird, I do want to point out that a kart racer would be a shameless cash grab. Then I would be using
that
would
number,
because I think just about every kart racer other than Mario Kart is a shameless cash grab. And honestly, I think maybe Mario Kart was a shameless cash grab that just did really well.
I don't know. Mario Kart's like the OG. I think the only other one that kind of held up that didn't really seem like a shameless cash grab was the Crash Bandicoot kart racing game. Just because, I don't know, it was another big IP that did it. But like you got like Sonic, they did Sonic R way back in the day. And like the Sonic All-Stars Racing, and then the Team Sonic Racing.
I was so upset with
Diddy Kong Racing.
I'm so upset with those. Like, why are you giving the fastest group of characters in the world cars? Just let them race on foot. I don't understand that.
Exactly. And like that's kind of like the angle that I'm approaching all this from. Is it just kind of feels like strange. Like
it does feel strange
with this Minecraft Dungeons. Now I don't know enough about it to make any sort of real actual assertion on what it's going to be like. But like if it's dungeon crawling, but like you aren't getting loot drops, you're like the whole time looking for resources to make things. Like the whole draw of Diablo is those loot drops, that loot system.
Yeah.
If it's Minecraft with loot drops, I feel like that at that point it's just like a copy paste of Diablo. Now, if they do something that makes it fall within the range of, you know, what Minecraft is. So let's say like, okay, you can go into this dungeon and there's these real nasty monsters this way, but if you get through them, you get these really good materials to upgrade your weapons or craft new ones. If that's the draw to it, I can see that working out. But
you know, my biggest concern for this game, honestly, and I like where you're going with that, but my biggest concern is the thing that I like the least about Minecraft when it's all said and done is when you have to fight something. And that's the biggest concern to me is when I'm playing Minecraft, or when I did play Minecraft, I liked the building. The building was fun and simple and easy, and it was time consuming and almost meditative. But when the night came out and I actually had to fight something, the fighting was atrocious. And so to make a game about fighting is the thing that worries me. like this, like Mojang is not well tested in combat areas, and the combat has to feel at least decent. I mean, I know it's a hack and slash, and you don't need a ton of really cool, interesting things in a hack and slash, but still, it has to feel good, you know?
Right.
And I'm kind of interested to see how that will feel.
Well, it's had a fair amount of time in the oven, so I mean,
Yes.
maybe they are focusing on the combat system. You know,
You know, I'm excited to play it and give it a try. I no matter what, I'll give Mojang props for trying to do something different, whether or not it was a cash grab or it was forced or whatever. I appreciate that they're not just making more. I mean, they are just making more Minecraft, but not in the way that you know what I mean? It's not just
right.
more and more Minecraft. They're actually trying to like branch out a little bit and do something with that game other than just, or that property other than just mine and build, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know. So, all right. So one more topic we're going to talk about today. Now, from what I understand, ESRB is actually going to start recognizing loot boxes and factoring them into their rating systems. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do a lot of research on this. This is a tiny wizard's baby all the way. So tell us a little bit about it, Neil. What's the situation here?
So the bane of our collective existences, loot boxes, have been around for a while now, and everybody's just been on and on and on about, like, you know, like regulation, and that they should, you know, maybe somebody should give a heads up to parents that that games have these in them.
Right.
And of course, these companies have put out these very weak, like, oh, well, you know, little Timmy spent $700 in, you know, whatever in Fortnite. You know, what can you guys do about this? And then the company's just like, I don't know, just read our safe online purchasing use guideline that more often than not parents don't know anything about.
Right.
So now the government has, well, not the government, the ESRB has stepped in to keep the government from doing this. But the ESRB has stepped in and said, hey, you know, maybe we should give people a heads up about these. I mean, we had this on phones for a while because we used to have the games that we would download. They wouldn't say anything about contains in-app purchases or anything like that. Well, since the game companies have now full-on adopted the model, they have now had to resort to letting people know that there are going to be loot boxes in games. So now that is going to be a warning label on ratings of games. It's going to say something along the lines of contains in-game purchases, and with some mention of in-game, like random in-game elements as well, to kind of sugarcoat it a little bit. But basically now, if the game has at launch a in-game marketplace, it's going to be warned. The parents are going to be warned about it now. The only issue, well, there's two issues with this. One, you get something like the Crash Team Racing remake that shoehorned the microtransactions in after all of the reviews came out. Those boxes are already printed, and
Right.
it's not until they make more copies of the game that the label is going to show up on there. Also, game companies now are starting to move away from that monetization model and more towards the season pass, battle pass sort of monetization scheme. I mean, they have for like big DLCs is one thing. So like Borderlands 3, you can get your DLC pass. That's one thing. But games like Fortnite that have like the $15 or whatever it is in-game battle pass that you can buy, that's the next sort of thing. So I mean, I think that would still fall under the whole warning of in-game purchases, but you know, if it's not there at launch, then that's an issue, because the ESRB can only rate based off of what is in the game when the ESRB rates it.
Right.
That's why we had a situation long ago with what was it, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and the whole hot coffee thing.
Right.
You know, there was an actual literal sex scene in the game that the ESRB didn't know anything about. So obviously the game got pulled from shelves and everybody was like in a tizzy about that. But I don't know. I think it's a good thing that we finally have this up on like forefront on game cases, letting everybody know that, hey, there's monetization outside of you just buying the game. But I don't think it's going to do anything to stop the problem of over monetization. And you and I have had conversations about this before.
Yeah.
And I agree that there's nothing wrong with some level of monetization.
Right.
But buying back when Dead Space 3 came out, when it was literally you buying all of your crafting materials like that you needed to play the game, that you would get in the game anyways, spending ludicrous amounts of money to just basically beat the game. Like there's people who have actual like purchasing like actual addictive personalities, and these loot boxes especially are exploiting those people. There are some people who, you know, use games as a form of escape, and maybe, you know, they don't play phone games because they have those issues. That's why they play console games. Well,
Right.
now these things have invaded console games, every aspect of console gaming. Oh my God. Every single game has a loot box monetization scheme, this, that, and the other. And I know it's what they have to do to keep the game prices around $60. But if we're going to have consoles now that are going to be coming out at probably a higher price point, I think it might be time to have the conversation of, is it okay to charge $70 for a game as opposed to 60? Back when we had $50 games and we had to bump them up to 60. That same conversation, is it okay now? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, so here's my thing. First of all, I feel like the loot box conversation, I feel like they missed the boat on this, just like you said in the very beginning. Almost, there's so much backlash about the loot boxes in, man, I always say Battlefield. It's Battlefront. The loot boxes in Battlefront 2, the minute that thing got killed, there's been almost no loot boxes in anything other than mobile games since that happened. So I feel like the ESRB kind of missed the boat on that. And I also feel like their regulation of that doesn't do any good, like you said. I don't need another label that just also states, hey, there's some loot boxes in this. Like, I know there's loot boxes in it. What they should have done in the first place, and hot take, we have kind of gone back and forth on the monetization. I don't care about loot boxes. I think they're fine. If you can keep my game price from going up, put as many loot boxes in there as you want. What I don't like about loot boxes is that I don't get to know what the percentage of chance of me getting things is. And that feels too much like I'm getting screwed. You're telling me that I can get a rare item here. You don't give me the percentage of chance. I don't get to know I don't get to know the rules on the random number generator, and I don't like that. I feel like the better fix would have been to say, okay, you can have loot boxes in your game. You just have to put in there what the percentage is of what you're going to get.
Yeah, and they did that with some like apps with in-game, like on your phone and everything like that. And I do think that would also have been a logical next step. I mean, I'll fight the fight on loot boxes till the day I die. But
that's fair. It's totally fair. I know that these companies on one side, I know I tend to take the bad guy's side a lot in these weird capitalism conversations that we've had. But I tend to try and see it from both ways. And these companies haven't raised the price in games in a long time. You know, they've stayed that amount. They're really selling it at cost in most ways. And with that in mind, like I don't want my games to go up in price. And if you can find a mechanism where you can make some more money, and I can keep my game the same price, I'm okay with it. Of course, though, there needs to be a balance, and the balance needs to be, you need to not ruin my play to make that money if I don't want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Battlefront 2 is the best example of that when it originally came out, because when it originally came out, the loot boxes and the loot box system was the absolute height of predatory on that system. And
Yeah.
that's the worst it could ever be right there and there. And honestly, since they got that backlash, how many companies, like I feel like our conversation is almost moot a little bit, because how many companies are actually using loot boxes anymore? Other than like, I mean, I'm not talking about your crappy mobile games. They're going to use loot boxes for the rest of their lives.
Oh yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, how many games do you know of that has loot boxes that come out? I mean, other than like Borderlands, but Borderlands has always had loot boxes. They're in the game. You know, you quest for them. Like, but I'm talking about like loot boxes that you pay for. You know?
Right. I think the biggest thing that I'm like concerned about is those people who have the issues with, like addictive personalities with their spending and stuff like that. And I feel like the perfect way to do this, that any company would never do this, but put a limit on how much money that you can spend real world on doing, getting, whatever you want to get. Granted, I know it was Grand Theft Auto 5 has their in-game casino that you spend in-game money, and you can buy with real money the in-game currency to take to that casino, which is like literally one step removed from real literal gambling, which is kind of ridiculous. But I think like if there was like a little bar that filled up on the bottom of the screen, or said, hey, this week you've spent this much money in this game, I feel like a lot of people's issues, like mine included, would be kind of, resolved to some degree, because the loot boxes that do remain are a bit predatory. I honestly, some of the battle pass things uses fear of missing out, frankly, to get people to buy those, and that's just a different type of mental mind fuckery.
Yeah.
But I think that if they were very upfront and not like the evil masterminds wringing their hands in the corner waiting for the huge payday that's going to come from, some kid who got a hold of their parents' credit card and charged $5,000 on various loot boxes.
Right.
Maybe it would be a little bit better if they were way like at the forefront of everything, very out in the open.
Well, and there's a problem too, because you've got to draw the line somewhere, don't you?
Well, of course.
Hello, Stella. Why do you have green on your face? You got home just in time to be on the show. You want to come say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
You gotta say it louder. Why do you have green marker all over your face? I'm sure mommy was happy about that. Ruff, ruff, little doggy. Oh, he's cute. You gotta do the adoption ceremony, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I gotta finish here, and then I'll be up to do it. Okay. Your mommy might be able to do it. She just got to ask me how. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. My wife and kid were out, and they just got home. Okay. So as I was saying, there's a fine line too, because, whether or not the practice is predatory, it's hard to universally say it's evil, because like you said, there's the EA executives wringing their hands in the corner every time a 12-year-old steals a credit card from a purse. But there's also the developers at Hi-Rez over at Paladin, putting out a free game, just trying to make ends meet, and like, please buy our loot boxes so that we can feed our children. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. It's a tough thing to say, because if you take loot boxes just as their own thing, you can't really say they're evil or good, because it's what you're doing with it and how you're doing it. I think universally, though, the battle pass is a better system. I think for everybody involved, it at the very least looks less predatory on the surface of it. I think that everybody's making just as much money off of it that they would have made off loot boxes, and And again, I don't think we're going to be talking about loot boxes in 6 months. I don't think anybody's going to have them anymore, except maybe games that grandfather them in. But even like For Honor has a battle pass now. So like I think every game is going to eventually just switch over to that because that's what everybody wants,
Yeah, I think it is the safer way to go.
I do appreciate that they are putting it on the boxes. I think it's I almost feel like it's kind of, as far as the hand-wringing evil people, I almost feel like it's the ESRB, like the loot box thing is over. All right, now look good by putting it on the labels, like I feel like they didn't do anything for a really long time, to the point where like the Congress almost came in, and that, people, is what we really don't want in gaming, is the government telling us anything about it. And that's the whole point of ESRB, is that's why it exists, is to be a buffer between gaming and the government. And the government almost came in and started regulating loot boxes because it was so bad. And the ESRB really kind of sat in a corner, waited for it to all like pass over. And now they're putting labels on boxes and we're supposed to like kiss their feet, like, yeah, you should have done this a while ago. You should have done something when we were all afraid that, Donald Trump's government was going to start telling us what games we can play,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't like to get political on the show. I'm only getting political in the way that it directly relates to gaming. That is what the ESRB exists for. Because when when really violent games started coming out and everybody started getting mad about it, the ESRB was like, don't police us. We will form a thing. We'll form the ESRB so that it will police ourselves, and we'll make sure we've got ratings on everything. That was the whole reason the ESRB exists, is for you guys to keep the government from doing this. And they almost got a chance again,
Yeah.
So like, politics aside, I don't like to talk about politics here, but I don't like the idea of any government, no matter who's in charge, governing video games. If Congress gets to vote on what we play, we are in serious trouble as gamers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hi, puppies. You're back again, huh? Oh, is that his girlfriend now? Okay. All right. Okay. So anything else to add, buddy?
No, I think that about covers it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that brings us to the main event, the Horrible Arena. What is the Horrible Arena? Well, if you have not been listening, that is where the co-hosts that are present, they get to pitch a game based on pre-existing criteria. They give you a developer, a title, and the elevator pitch. The pre-existing criteria this time is free play. That's right, we're doing a free play. Pitch the game, period. Whatever you want to pitch, it's up to you. So after we pitch them, you guys get to decide in the comments below, on our Discord, on Facebook, on Twitter, anywhere you want to, who is the winner. Heck, if you know me, you can tell me in person. I count those too. So free play, I have won the Quantum Studio, the Quantum Coin Toss. I get to go first. So, Neil, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. My game is Project Heavy Metal. Project Heavy Metal will be developed by Platinum Games. Putting a little faith and trust that it's going to be one of the better ones. So what is heavy metal? Heavy metal is you build a character. That character gets a spaceship. That spaceship gets a whole big dock hangar. And in that dock hangar, he gets one mecha. Baseline mecha, whatever. Now, what this game is about is you fly from system to system. You're a freelancer, so you get involved in scuffles between warring factions. It's a really big galaxy. Like, we're talking like maybe procedurally generated. I'm handcrafted, but just huge, like a huge galaxy. So you as this just like freelance mercenary bounce from system to system, getting involved in you might get in a conflict in one. Another one, you might find a conflict happened and you can go scrapping there, and maybe you end up battling pirates. Maybe you end up flying down to a planet to scavenge, or even like some very baseline dungeon crawling if it's like an old city that's been destroyed or something. What's the basis for this game? The basis for this game is to collect parts and scrap and crew members to make more mechs, improve the mechs you have, and then customize them. So what you'll do is you'll find baseline frames for mechs, and then you can put certain upgrades on them, different weapons, different outlooks. So like one frame will be a quick mech, another frame will be like a heavy tank mech, and then that will also dictate the kind of weaponry you can put on it. Total customization suite. Like, what I want this to feel like is like Forza Horizon with mecha. Like, that's what I want you to have, a garage of mecha in your hangar. That's just badass. On top of that, you will be able to recruit pilots as well as ship people to kind of fill out your crew. These guys will definitely be procedurally generated. You'll be able to collect them kind of like a State of Decay 2 sort of thing, where they'll have good features, they'll have bad features. The more they get used in combat, the more, the more you see what they can do, and they'll actually advance or whatever. You can let them go, but you have to cut them in on the pay. Now, you don't play these guys. These guys you will assign mechs that you're not using to fly with you in battle, okay? So you could even create a pirate ship, create a pirate crew of mecha to go attack people, whatever you want to do. The story is completely yours. The mecha combat is involved and in-depth, quick, anime Gundam style combat when you get into it. So that is my game. I think I've said everything I need to say that make me want to play that, make anybody else out there play it. So that's Project Heavy Metal from Platinum Games. That's my pitch.
All right. Should you guys ever play Dungeon Keeper back when it didn't suck? So that with a twist. We're going to have EA do this one up because they have prior experience with the series. And they also have access to a fair amount of different properties, intellectual properties. So this one will be called Project Nightmare. And it is a two-part game. One part of it is making your own horror dungeons. So it's all themed around horror elements. You can build it out, just snap the pieces in wherever you need them to go, set up, like traps and various different things to come out and chase you, and an objective to have at the end of the game. But at the end of the dungeon, that is. But then when that is done, you can then take your dungeon online and matchmake with it as the so-called mastermind of your dungeon, and have 4 players go in and be like survivors trying to escape. It's almost like the Resident Evil Resistance that's out right now, only you get to build everything out yourself, and you get total control over the theme, the elements, and everything within this dungeon nightmare horror scenario that you decide to play out. And then, of course, if you so decide you don't want to build your own, you just want the challenge of going through people's dungeons, then you can just go into matchmaking, find whatever sort of spooky horror scenarios fits for you best. You could have a sci-fi horror and a slasher horror, a creature, something along those lines, and then go through and play through these different experiences that people create. You don't have to worry about there could probably be some pre-created dungeons that you could play through just to get a feel of it or get some inspiration from. But I feel like that would really unleash everybody's creativity in those and give people a chance to make something for other people to experience while still experiencing that thing themselves. Too often when you have user created content, I feel like you can post it online, but you don't get to interact with it as you created it. People just kind of jump in and do whatever with it, be it map makers, anything along those lines. So yeah, that would be mine.
Did you give a project name and a company? I'm sorry. Oh, you said EA.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah,
But what was the project name?
EA, I believe I called it Nightmare.
Nightmare. That's right. I'm sorry. I got everything else. And can I just say that's a really cool pitch? Like, aside from how cool I think mine is, what's really weird is I think you pitched the best. You pitched what every 4v1 experience should be, and I pitched
Right.
what Anthem should be.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you guys have it out there. Project Heavy Metal versus Project Nightmare. And can I just say, these are the two best games. I am so happy. I don't know who would win. Like, I thought I definitely had it with Project Heavy Metal, and then you came with Nightmare, and I don't know which one I'd probably picked Heavy Metal if I was voting, because I don't like horror games. But man, just those experiences. We pitched really unique experiences, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good. Okay. All right. So, you got anything to pitch, Mr. Wizard?
No, other than we will still be joining you on Prelude to a Divorce this coming Sunday for, I believe, the last episode.
Yes, this is the final episode in which you and your lovely wife joined us. And can I say, these episodes have been some of the best on that series. I urge anybody to go check it out. And this next episode, my wife finally gets to play her game, which is Super Mario World, the one with
Super
Yoshi.
Mario World.
Super Mario World. And she, like, it's funny because, like, me and Neil and Kayla are just riffing, and then you realize she hasn't talked because she's just sweaty the whole time.
You keep saying sweaty. Stop saying sweaty.
It's a thing. It's
not a thing.
Kevin backed me up on one. Oh my God. It's an actual gamer term. We actually get in a fight about that on that episode too.
Yeah, we do.
I'm pretty sure it is. I think I almost named the episode Melissa Goes Sweaty, but I just didn't want to do that to her. Like, I think she would never do the show again if I did that. But yeah, this will be the final episode with you guys. And it was when this whole quarantine is over, we can't wait to have you guys back on the show. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. Can't wait to be back.
So with that said, we'll do the normal pitches. And those normal pitches are plugs. Sorry. You can find us on Facebook at Old Man Gaming DH, on Twitter at Old Man Gaming 9. And then, of course, you can comment below and join our Discord. It is in the description. We are thirsty, as always, for conversation from you guys, the fans. And if you join our Discord, you can influence just about every show we put on the channel. We have some way for you guys to get involved or some level of interactivity. So please join and please conversate with us. And as far as the podcast goes, I think Zoom, I want to thank Zoom. I know Zoom, the program, isn't listening, but this program, it's been an absolute dream to record this after months and months of fighting with terrible audio bugs and glitches. I can't tell you how happy I am. So I mean, like, seriously, like, I got married, happiest day. I had my child, second happiest day, third happiest day. I discovered Zoom for my podcast. So thanks to that. And you guys out there, as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we will keep making it. We will see you next week.